For Chapter 3, we are going to start looking at lines and angles. And we have a few vocab words here. Parallel lines are coplanar, which means they're on the same plane, and they do not intersect. So I'm sure you all know what parallel lines are, but just for that sense, if you look at this picture over here of this cube, each side is its own plane. So for instance, if we look at that front piece, we have EF is a line, and at the top and then at the bottom we have G to H. So those two lines are parallel and they're not going to intersect, and they are on the same plane. So those are parallel lines. Perpendicular lines, which is indicated by an upside down T symbol, intersect at 90-degree angles. These lines are going to have to be from different planes in order to make 90-degree angles. So if you looked at E to A, which would be the side of the top there, and then E to G, those lines intersect at 90-degree angles. There's quite a few different pairings of lines that are perpendicular as well as parallel out of that picture. Now, skew lines are not coplanar and are not parallel and do not intersect. So if you picked one off of the bottom and then one off of the back, the bottom front and then one on the back side, they aren't perpendicular, they aren't parallel, they're not in the same plane. They really have nothing to do with each other. And then parallel planes are planes that do not intersect. So if you thought about planes as the top and the bottom, those are both planes and they're parallel. They're going to extend forever and never touch. The front and the back would be parallel planes, and then the two sides would be parallel planes. The arrows are used to show that AB, that line AB, is parallel to line EF, and that EG is parallel to FH. So make sure you pay attention to little keys that could be next to your pictures to tell you what different symbols mean. Okay, so now we're giving this picture here with the cards, and we have to identify a pair of parallel segments. So I'm just going to look right here at the top. This line or segment and this segment would be parallel. So we could say segment KN is parallel to LM, segment LM. A pair of skew segments could be this line here, LN, or KN, and then this one here on the back. So we could say KN and LQ, segment LQ. Then for perpendicular segments, we are looking for two that are going to make 90-degree angles. And if you look at the bottom, you can see 90-degree angles indicated there. So for instance, this segment SR and SP would make a 90-degree angle. So segment SR would be perpendicular to segment SP. A pair of parallel planes. So the top and the bottom would be parallel. So we can say plane, and these ones don't have little names in it, so I'm going to say KNML is parallel to plane PSRQ. So I'm just going to name all 4 points on those planes. All right, so now into some vocab terms here. A transversal is a line that intersects two coplanar lines at 2 different points. The transversal T and the other 2 lines, R and S, form 8 angles. So if you look at the picture, the transversal is the line that's cutting the other two lines. And there's 8 angles that are formed there. We have exterior angles and we have interior angles. So interior means inside, exterior means outside. So those are going to come in handy here in a couple more words. Corresponding angles are angles that lie on the same side of the transversal on the same sides of lines R and S. So their example here is angle 1 and angle 5. So if you look at the picture, here's angle 1 and here's angle 5. So if you thought about cutting this in half and you had 2 different pictures, it's the angle that's in the same spot. So those are the top left angles of the line. So those are called corresponding angles. We could also say 2 and 6 are corresponding, 4 and 8 are corresponding, and 3 and 7 are corresponding. So it's not just those top left ones. It's every angle with the other angle in the same exact position. Alternate interior angles are non-adjacent and lie on opposite sides of the transversal between lines R and S. So alternate means different, and then interior means on the inside. So for example, they gave 3 and 6. So here's 3 and here's 6. So the word interior tells us on the inside, and then alternate means on different sides of the transversal. So angles 4 and 5 could be called alternate interior angles as well. And then alternate exterior is the same thing, but on the outside. So exterior tells us to go to the outside. Alternate means opposite or different sides. So they gave the example of 1 and 8. So 1 and 8. And we could also say that 2 and 7 are alternate exterior angles as well. And then our last one is same side interior angles or consecutive interior angles, and they lie on the same side of the transversal between lines R and S. So their example here is 3 and 5. So here's 3 and here's 5. So same side, so on the same side of the transversal, and interior means inside. So we could say 4 and 6 also fit this category as a pair of same side interior angles. All right, using all of that lovely information, we have to find corresponding angles out of this picture. So if you go back up here, they gave the example of 1 and 5 are corresponding. So they're in the same spot if we were to think about cutting this picture in half. This picture, the transversal is the line that cuts 2 different lines. So this would be our transversal here. So corresponding angles means if I were to think about cutting this picture in half between the 2 lines, I'm going to have one angle from the top, one angle from the bottom that's in the same spot. So I could say angles 1 and angle 5 because they're both in the top left of each set of angles. I could have also picked 2 and 6, or I could have picked 3 and 7, angles 4 and 8. Next on our list is alternate interior. So, and I erased that line and I did not want to. Let's put it back in there. Not straight, but you get the point. Alternate interior means on the inside, so interior is inside, and alternate means opposite sides of our transversal. So we can say angles 3 and angle 5 would be alternate interior. I could have also said angle 4 and 6. Then for alternate exterior, same thing, but on the outside. So I can say angle 1 and angle 7. I could also have picked 2 and 8 as a pair. And then same side interior angles. So on the inside and on the same side as the transversal. So one set would be 4 and angle 5. The other set would be angle 3 and 6. That would also be a correct answer there. All right, and then example 3 says to identify the transversal and classify each angle pair. So if I'm looking at angles 1 and 5, here's angle 1, here's angle 5. What line is cutting through both of those angles? Line N is cutting through both of those angles, so the transversal would be line N. And then what type of angles would those be? So if you were to kind of cut off this corner up here and just think about the picture down here that includes both of those, they are both on the inside of the two lines and they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So they would be alternate interior angles. They're angles, there we go. And now for the next one, we're going to look at angles 3 and 6. So here is 3 and here is 6. And it looks like line M is the transversal there. It's going through both of those angles. And then what kind of angles would those be? They are corresponding angles because remember corresponding angles, if we go back up here, corresponding angles are on the same side of the transversal on the same sides of lines R and S. So they are both, if we cut off this part now of the picture and just look at where the 3 and the 6 are on those sets of angles, they are both in the bottom left-hand corner of the pictures. So they are called corresponding angles. And then last we have angles 1 and 4. And here is angle 1 and here is angle 4 over here. So we're going to cut off this bottom part of the picture and just focus on the top two pieces. The line that's going through those is line L. So the transversal would be L. And then those two angles are on the exterior and different sides of line L. So those would be alternate exterior angles.